It was late-night television's latest curveball that turned heads and metrics. On August 7, 2025, The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon welcomed none other than Greg Gutfeld, the conservative Fox News host whose primetime show, Gutfeld, regularly towers over its peers in the ratings arena. The fallout? A fascinating twist in the ratings story, and a revealing look at how late-night TV is evolving. A ratings underdog takes the stage. Let's set the stage with the numbers. In the second quarter of 2025, The Tonight Show averaged about 1.19 million viewers, putting it in third place at 11:35 p.m., trailing behind Stephen Colbert's Late Show at 2.42 million and Jimmy Kimmel Live at 1.77 million. In contrast, Gutfeld, which airs at 10 p.m. Eastern Time on Fox News, dominated its time slot, pulling in roughly 3.29 million viewers and 238,000 in the 18 to 49 demographic. It has become a powerhouse in late-night style programming, even though it airs an hour earlier. That disparity set the scene for something unusual. Fallon inviting his ratings nemesis, one with a very different political orientation, into the living rooms of NBC's late-night audience. The interview that raised eyebrows. The interview itself was light-hearted, anecdotal, and far from confrontational. Fallon and Gutfeld riffed on a shared past. A drunken, chaotic encounter in a Hell's Kitchen bar more than a decade ago, involving playful wrestling, crushed cigarettes, and the sort of mischief that makes for a late-night story worth retelling. Notably absent from the segment were tough questions about Gutfeld's political commentary, or his history of provocative remarks, which have included controversial jokes about reclaiming politically loaded terms and sharp jabs at other hosts like Stephen Colbert. Instead, Fallon stuck to his signature style: nostalgia, warmth, and harmless humor. There was no attempt to dissect Gutfeld's ideological leanings, nor to challenge him on divisive statements. In short, Fallon avoided the pointed satire and political critique that have become hallmarks for other late-night hosts. What the booking signifies. On the surface, this could be read as Fallon simply keeping things friendly, but given the broader late-night landscape, the move looked more strategic than casual. Fallon has often been viewed as the least political of the big three network late-night hosts. By hosting Gutfeld and giving him a warm, joke-filled spotlight, Fallon appeared to be reaching beyond his usual base, perhaps hoping to attract viewers who typically wouldn't tune into NBC at 11:35 p.m. In an era where TV audiences are fractured along political lines, that kind of cross-aisle guest booking is rare and potentially risky. For Fallon, it may be less about controversy and more about survival. The broader ratings picture. The late-night ratings hierarchy has remained relatively stable in recent years. Colbert generally leads in overall viewers, Kimmel often takes the 18 to 49 demo, and Fallon trails in both categories. But the gaps are widening. Fallon has suffered a year-over-year decline of about 16% in total viewership and nearly 30% in the key demo. Kimmel, while not the overall leader, remains competitive in younger audiences. Colbert, meanwhile, has managed to grow slightly from Q1 to Q2 2025, bucking the industry trend of slow decline. Then there's Gutfeld, whose show has been the only one in the broader late-night space to gain viewers both quarter-over-quarter and year-over-year. This growth stands out in a media climate where streaming, social media clips, and on-demand content have siphoned audiences away from live, linear television. Industry ripples, contracts, cancellations, and calculations. The stakes in late night are high, and they're not just about bragging rights. Network decisions hinge on these numbers. In a surprise move earlier this month, CBS announced that The Late Show with Stephen Colbert will end in May 2026. Officially, CBS has framed the decision as financially driven, but many have speculated about political and cultural factors. At NBC, Fallon's contract runs through 2028, and executives have publicly backed him. Still, there's talk behind the scenes about whether The Tonight Show, with its big production costs, is justifying its budget in light of the ratings slump. Some reports have even suggested that NBC regrets the size of Fallon's multi-million-dollar deal, especially when Gutfeld is pulling larger audiences at a fraction of the cost. Adding more intrigue, former President Donald Trump has weighed in on the late-night shakeup, celebrating Colbert's upcoming departure and hinting, perhaps wishfully, that Fallon and Kimmel could be next. The comments, while politically charged, underscore the extent to which late-night TV remains a cultural flashpoint. A new era of guest choices. Fallon's Gutfeld booking may be part of a larger shift in his guest strategy. In recent months, he's welcomed more politically diverse figures, including conservative media personalities and outspoken entrepreneurs known for their polarizing public personas. This marks a departure from the predominantly progressive-leaning guest rosters that have characterized much of modern late-night. Fallon's move seems aimed at broadening the appeal of his show in a time when audiences increasingly seek content that reflects their political and cultural viewpoints. In a way, the booking echoed the tactics of digital talk shows and podcasts, which often prioritize high-profile, conversation-driving guests regardless of political affiliation. These platforms have drawn huge audiences by fostering unfiltered conversations, something traditional network late-night has historically avoided. How the segment played with viewers. While the ratings boost from Gutfeld's appearance wasn't enough to catapult Fallon past Colbert or Kimmel in the weekly averages, there was a noticeable uptick in social media engagement. Clips of the interview circulated widely on platforms like X, Instagram, and TikTok, generating both praise and criticism. Some viewers applauded Fallon for crossing ideological lines and keeping the conversation civil. Others accused him of offering a softball platform to a politically controversial figure without challenge. The polarization of the responses mirrors the broader media divide, illustrating the fine line network hosts must walk when they book guests from across the political spectrum. Why it matters for late night's future. The Fallon-Gutfeld segment was more than just an oddball pairing. It reflected a growing recognition in the industry that the old formulas aren't enough to hold audiences. With streaming services, YouTube talk formats, and even influencer-led interview shows eating into their viewership, network late-night programs are under pressure to innovate. One possible innovation: bringing in guests who can pull in audiences from outside the traditional viewership pool. The risk, of course, is alienating a core audience that may not appreciate the ideological detour. Fallon's decision suggests that he, and perhaps NBC, are willing to take that risk. Whether it pays off in the long term remains to be seen. Lessons from the numbers. Several takeaways emerge from this episode. Fallon is trailing his peers in ratings, and any significant boost, even a temporary one, could help stabilize his standing. Gutfeld's consistent success offers a model for tapping into loyal, demographically defined audiences. Cross-ideological guest bookings can generate buzz, but they also invite scrutiny from both sides of the political aisle.